So, what's everybody up to? I am just logging on. I'll pull up our little PowerPoint and make a few comments for you. Let's see, what did I do with that? Interesting lesson today in that we're going to talk about anger. So, tell me what ticks you off? Michelle, what could possibly ever tick you off? You're so mild-mannered and pleasant all the time, and I'm being serious. And Gracie, you're just as sweet as. I want to know, guys, what makes you mad? I was trying to think what makes me the maddest. What makes you mad? I get mad at myself. I get mad at myself when I overeat. I love to eat. I love to be full and I don't like things that are awkward, that make me feel awkward. Okay. So anyway, Jesus teaches now, we're at the point in the Beatitudes where we're going to teach on anger. And of course, last week, in Matthew 5:20, he said, "For I tell you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven." Now, who would have thought that you had to pass the Pharisees and the Sadducees? Because they were considered the learned people. So how do we do better than them? I think it was the attitude of their heart, don't you? We can't do better than a person who was in the law constantly. Then if you're in the Bible constantly, that's kind of what they were. They were in the first five books of the Bible constantly. And of course, they were in what they had done for the law, how they had written and interpreted it. What do you think of this next slide with the anger? That picture's kind of scary, isn't it? Verses 21 and 22. And so when you think about anger, and here Jesus says, when you are angry and you have those thoughts, you're same as committing murder. And number 6 of the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill. That does not mean you can't go to war. Okay, let's make that clear right now. God ordained war. It says it means you cannot murder. So the true translation of the word there means murder. So Jesus brings up anger, and the word used here is the Greek word raka, and it's Aramaic word, which means you are brainless, calling into question their intellectual ability. So when you call someone a fool, you're in danger of the fire of hell. So, I heard my nephew last summer when we were down there saying, "Hey, fool, hey, fool." He kept saying that. Of course, they were from Texas, I guess. And he just kept saying, my thing keeps sliding. Kept saying, "Fool, hey, fool." I was like, I didn't want him to be in danger of fire or the hell. So, but here Jesus is saying the 6th commandment goes deeper than just murder. So anger is murder. And when you think about it, I've been angry. Have I committed murder? Let's talk about that. What do you think? And then I want you to go read 1 John 3:11 through 15 and see how that applies to this. So in verses 23 and 24, we see that hate and being angry at actions versus angry at someone. Transfer those feelings from action to the person. Sometimes when someone is doing bad, and I'm going to use an extreme here, like an alcoholic. You hate what they do. You hate, and the constant abuse of that can make you angry. And I'm speaking from experience. You hate what they're doing, but you can transfer that to that person. And you can build up a resentment and a hatred towards that person. the next step that Jesus refers to is how to deal with that situation. When people are angry at us, verse 23, when someone's been hurt, has been hurt by us, and they are dealing with angry thoughts toward us, you can go and say, hey, you have a problem with me? And that's your problem. Not so. Not so. So it's not that, and sometimes that person's not approachable. You have to deal sometimes, Dr. Stanley says, put a chair in front of you and pretend that person's in that chair and tell that person how they've hurt you and how angry they've made you. But we also can get a hold of that person and say, let's work this out. Forgive me, we should take responsibility for someone else's emotions. Think about that. And what about verse 24, how your adversary threatens you constantly? There's so much here to discuss about being angry and how someone's hurt us. Verse 25, let's resolve things quickly. Take care of it now. Don't let it linger and fester and get a root of bitterness growing and causing a problem. It can be fun to be mad at someone when you're justified at being mad at them. And when I say fun, I mean it can be, I enjoy being right. And I enjoy telling someone how right I was. So Jesus says, I want you to care more and look at them as he does in a heart level. So how many of us have committed murder? How many do you think you've ever committed murder? All of us. And so how can we ever measure up? We need to remember that there is forgiveness when we mess up. The blood of Christ keeps on cleansing us from sin, but the hope to live pleasing to God on the heart level. So you need to work on that anger, and Jesus will help you work on that. Let's go look at 2 Peter 1:3, verses 3 through 4. We can forgive through Jesus. I love those verses. And I love you guys. Talk about your anger. Talk about what makes you mad. Talk about how we need to think about this. Anger, you can be angry and sin not. But you can be angry and sin. I love you guys. I'll see you next week.